What are you currently reading, or if you're not reading anything currently, what's the last thing you did read?
Yeah, that's a lot of times a part of my morning routine too. I like to
Okay.
read books like the podcasts I
Mm-hmm.
listen to. Really, really conceptual stuff, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Um, and so, what I'm reading right now is a book that just about everybody in the world is also reading right now, and that's White Fragility by Robin DiAngelo.
Okay.
Um, and it's a book about why it's so hard for white people to talk about race.
Yeah.
And it's a book about racism and white supremacy,
Mm-hmm.
and just not necessarily so much dismantling white supremacy, but
Mm-hmm.
dealing with social racism,
Yeah.
racism in conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm reading right now. Along with, I just finished Comedy Sex God, which
That
is by
sounds.
Pete Holmes.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. All right.
it's like an autobiography by Pete Holmes, and he just talks about his relationship with those three things throughout his life:
Okay.
comedy, God,
Okay.
and I love that. It's pretty good. It's really funny, and it's a really good book.
Okay.
And yeah, it's good.
That's okay. White fragility. Is it like personal accounts, or is it like a psychological approach to these conversations, or is it people like I've had this conversation and here's where I identify these like racist undertones, or maybe subtle racism, or overtly racist kind of things. Like, what's the book? I haven't heard of the book actually, so I'm glad that you brought it up. What is it, like a psycho, like a is it like psychoanalyzing white people, or is it like a way to like maybe work out the conversation? Tell me a little bit about the book, if you don't mind.
So the number one thing it's about is the term white fragility.
Mm-hmm.
And she does a lot of lay in the background in the first few chapters, which is really, really, really good content. It's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then she gets into what white fragility is.
Mm-hmm.
Now, white fragility is a term that a lot of people are using now, and they're using it because of Robin DiAngelo. She created
Okay.
the term white fragility, and she talked about why she created that term, and she talked about what it means.
Mm-hmm.
And so, white fragility is basically what happens to white people in racial conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Most white people are fragile
Mm-hmm.
in racial conversation, and a lot of different things happen. They say a lot of insensitive, racist things,
Mm-hmm.
and she talks about why those things are racist.
Yeah.
And she talks about just how to get past that
How to get
in
past it?
order.
Oh, so it's not even like to confront it head on. Like if for instance during this conversation I said something that was perceived racist, would you have called me on it, or would you say like how do we work past what I just said kind of thing? Like how would that have been something that we would have done?
Well, how to get past doing it
Oh,
for the
okay.
white person.
I see.
Yeah, how to get past being a person who does that.
Yeah. Well, dude. But that I mean, I might read that book because I mean,
Yeah,
who knows what I say, kind of thing, and
it, it, it's good. It's good stuff. I think there's a lot of books that need to be read, but
mhm.
but I definitely think that for white people, this should be the first book you read. I think if you're thinking about reading books on social issues or
Mhm.
race relations, this should be the first one because it's a segue into the others, and it's a book that's a lot about introspection,
Mhm.
and it's a lot about systematic oppression at the
Mhm.
same time. And um and she's white. She's And a lot of black people write the book off right away. They're like, "Oh,
Oh,
I'm not
she's
going
white
to."
too. Oh, interesting. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the amazing thing about it. And the book was recommended to me by a black person.
Okay.
And where some black people write the book off immediately because they're not going to read a book about racism by a white person, which is why Robin DiAngelo made it work with white fragility, right? Because it's like what you're doing is you're confessing, right? What you're doing is saying that I don't know the struggle these people deal with. I never will. But I have been insensitive. And this is how, and this is why I and people like me have been and are still being insensitive. And this is what we need to fix. And it's brilliant. I mean, everything she said in the book is spot on. I mean, the person who gave it to me to read uses it as like pretty much a textbook and a course that he teaches on the subject in college at a university. So I mean, it's
yeah.
He's an educated black man who you can't get over on.
Yeah.
And black men like him and like me and like many others sign off on it.
I read Doug Stanhope's autobiography.
Yeah,
This is not.
Yeah, you know what? I read everything but the last chapter, and that was like a year ago.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't like it I liked the first one, the Digging Up Mother one better. That was more about his life. This one was more like road stories, which were just like
Road
insane.
and stuff, yeah.
It almost makes you want to not be on the road the way like this shit was going down. But
yeah, I like that book though. And then right now I'm reading Eminem, Not Afraid. He had an autobiography that came out years ago called The Way I Am. And the same guy, Anthony Bordoza, I think is the author, wrote this is basically just covering, from his Relapse album all the way through to, I guess, Kamikaze, which is what he put out. I'm a huge Shady fan.
Dude, I mean, that's no shame in that, man. So so you're big on autobiographies then? Like you like reading mostly autobiographies? Is there a favorite one that you have?
I really liked Kingdom of Fear, Hunter S. Thompson.
Okay.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
The Anthony Kiedis biography, Scar Tissue.
Yeah.
I read that when I was in high school.
John Koppel loves that one. He talks about it all the time, yeah.
That's a classic.
Yeah.
That is a classic, I got Flea's autobiography, actually. It's called Acid for the Children is the title.
Okay.
And I'm going to read that next.
Sweet, man.
So I got that on deck.
Reading The Stand by Stephen King.
Yeah. I've never read it, but I've seen the TV miniseries, which is probably his best one.
It's really good. I like Stephen King a lot.
Yes. Huh?
I like Stephen King a lot. I oscillate. I usually go one nonfiction, fiction, nonfiction, fiction.
So what's the last
So
book you
I
read
go,
then if you did fiction then? Or what's the real one? Nonfiction?
Fiction's a real one. It's a Steven Pinker book called Enlightenment Now. By the way, I recommend this book to everyone. It's No, you know what? I did 2 nonfictions in a row. I did Enlightenment Now, and then I did Trust the Process, which is about the Sixers with Sam Hinkie.
Yes, I've heard Trust the Process, yes. The Enlightenment Now. Tell me about Enlightenment Now. Tell me, what's that one like?
Enlightenment Now is about how, through just empirical facts, you can basically verify that we're living in the best time ever to be alive. The book came out in 2018. Obviously, 2020 is a little bit extra. But basically, that in terms of human rights, having people that are not destitute. Violence is historically down. Life expectancy is way up. Free time is way up. Sexism, racism, obviously it's been an uneven road, but way better than ever. We've got access to food and other cultures, and just modern conveniences, and pretty much by any way a reasonable person would look at it. Life is amazing. And this had a great impact on me.
Okay.
Because I just think with how frustrated people are, I think that if you look at it and just the way this book breaks it down, it's like, no, shit's pretty good actually.
Okay.
So I recommend it.
I'll definitely check it. I wrote it down. All right. So
the Game of Thrones books. I couldn't stop reading those.
Okay.
Because I started reading them after season 1 of the TV series.
Okay.
So like there's nothing to spoil what was happening for me.
Yeah.
So like I just sped through the books. Then there's another book that I got when I was taking a criminology class in college called What Cops Know.
Okay.
And it's basically just interviews with cops that have worked different units.
Yeah.
And they're just telling the stories of things that have happened.
Okay.
And you're like, these motherfuckers, like these people are fucking crazy. But I knew that working in the criminal justice system, but it's just like some of the stories are just like take two gay guys who owned a bar, got into a fight, and one of them stuck the fucking microphone stand in the other guy's ass, and like all the way up to his neck. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, how bad was that fight? You know, it's just like all these fucking stories. It's just like this shit. How does this happen? You know?
All right, dude, I gotta get that book. That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
I've been reading a lot over the quarantine. I do like to read a lot, so that part of the quarantine I've been pretty into. Right now I'm reading I have an audiobook going and a novel on Kindle.
Yeah.
I'm listening to Bill Bryson.
Okay.
Do you know who that is?
I don't know who that is.
He's a travel writer.
Okay.
It's an older book, but it's the books. I read his book about going across the Appalachian Trail, and I really liked it.
Oh, cool.
And so now I read his book about home. It's called Home, and it's just about the history of. It's really lame, but it's like perfect, like easy listening.
Okay.
And then right now I'm reading his ones about living in England and then moving back to the U.S.
Oh, cool.
That's the audiobook I'm going. And then I'm reading 1Q84 by Murakami. I think this is his Japanese author.
Okay. What's that about?
It's like a sci-fi. It's like a sci-fi thriller, or like very.
Oh, cool.
It's sort of. It's not like spaceship sci-fi, but it's like. The downside is that book, and I didn't realize this because I bought it on Kindle, and I didn't look. I just read the description.
Yeah.
And it sounded cool. It's like 1,300 pages.
Oh, wow.
So I've been reading that for like a month. I'm about 75% done.
Oh, wow. That's impressive. 13. I don't think I ever read a book that's that big. Wow.
That's my first 1,300 page book. You got to read like 15 minutes at a time. That's the trick.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been trying to do that too in quarantine. I usually don't read, but now I'm just like reading, trying to put like 30 minutes aside to read, but it's kind of hard with a kid. But
I read obsessively. I just read Where the Crawdads Sing. I've also done 2 or 3 Stephen King novels, and right now I'm reading a book on intermittent fasting because
okay.
I'm huge.
Oh my gosh. The Crawdads book. So that hit my radar, and I took it off because I like mystery books, and I feel like that's how it was initially advertised. And then when I read the reviews, it was more like a coming of age book with a mystery subset. Okay.
I'm obsessed with mysteries and thrillers. I only read the Crawdads one based on a friend's recommendation. Crawdads for me was a break from the mystery thriller stuff.
Okay.
Crawdads is more coming of age. There is a mystery.
Okay.
But this much mystery and this much coming of age. It's great, but if you like more really real mysteries, which I read them all the time, this won't be for you.
Okay.
It's great, but I'm enjoying it. I needed a little break from all the death. So I'm reading. I finished that one, and now I'm on the intermittent fasting.
Okay, cool. Well, let me know how that is. Was that like a Tony Robbins thing that got you on there, like a Tim Ferriss, or like what got you on intermittent fasting?
Oh no, you know what it was? A woman named Peggy Boyce that runs Ladies of Laughter was saying that she trying intermittent fasting, and she was noticing she was having less pain in her joints.
Okay.
So I read the comments, and she mentioned a book that she'd read. It was called Delay, Not Deny.
Okay.
So I looked it up, and I've been reading it, and it actually makes a lot of sense.
Okay, cool.
So, yeah.
Is the book called Intermittent Fasting, or is it called something else and has to do about?
It's called Delay. It's called Delay, Not Deny.
Okay.
I'm reading, and it's all about intermittent. What I like about it, Mark, is the woman that did it is a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
She gathered all the information from the real science people,
Mm-hmm.
but then funneled it down so that normal people could read it. But yet she gives you the links to the real science if there's a part that you want to look up.
Okay.
But so it's really well done.
Cool.
So it's for everybody with access to the science. So I've been very happy
All
with
right.
that.
Well, good luck. Good luck on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, let me know how that goes.
I just finished reading The Great Gatsby, and it was amazing. And I've never read it. I'm trying to go back and read books that I should have read in high school and never did. And I just finished The Great Gatsby.
Okay, cool. Thank you. What are you reading?
I forget the author of it.
That's okay.
And I'm not even real great with the title of it, but it's basically the question of why. So it's like, so this one, I just started reading this one, and it's basically like every action that you have has a why behind it. So, like, and that goes for everyone else too. So if someone does something, like, and it's just a great book for me right now, just for having staff and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
right? So like, if a staff member does something, and I go, well, I don't agree with that. But also take a step back and be like, well, why? Why did you do that? Why? Like that question of why, that's like Louis C.K.'s got that bit with the kid, like his kid just takes him down the tunnel of why, like, I forget how it starts, but it's like, well, why? Well, why? Well, why? But it like really is like, I'm only like 2 chapters in. It's a pretty thick book. So I don't know what the hell he talks about the whole time.
Yeah. Okay.
Halfway through, I'm going to be, why am I still reading this? But there is like such a powerful thing behind that word. And like, so far when I've read it, it's like I really, it's like, I like that stuff. Like I love I kind of got away from like reading like fantasy type books, like fiction. Is it fiction or non-fiction? I always confuse fiction.
Yeah, fiction's the made up. I think. I'm not.
Yeah,
Okay.
I kind of got away from like fiction. I'm not a huge fan of like, because I feel like I might as well just watch a movie. No. But like but even though I appreciate the artwork, it's not my thing anymore. But like the non-fiction, like I love reading like biographies. There's like a handful that are out there that I want to grab. I've been reading for a long time. This is kind of a new practice for me.